All right, everybody. The time has come for me to talk about the best of 2022. Are you ready to find out what components made my list of the most memorable components I have owned throughout this year? Are you ready to find out which component is the worst component of the year? You might be shocked. Let's get started. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, hit that like button, continue to support me, and make sure that you tune in because 2023 will bring a lot of interesting things to my channel. I'll go over those towards the end of the video. Okay, I'm gonna get right into it. Best amplifier, best stereo amplifier that I have owned in 2022. And that amplifier is none other than the Boulder 3060. I understand this amplifier is very expensive for a lot of people out there. Current MSRP of $142,000. It is a cost no object amplifier. And I've been very vocal about the fact that I feel Boulder is the best amplifier company, amplifier manufacturer in the United States. The build quality is exceptional. Reliability is bulletproof. Boulder has, in my opinion, it's not one of those companies. They're not one of these companies that loves to replace product every 3 years. Okay, that shaft you asking you for extra money for an upgrade, that are always, simply trying to figure out a way to get more money out of your pockets. Boulder typically maintains a product in production for at least 10 to 15 years. The 3060 to me is leaps and bounds ahead of anything else I have ever owned, including the Griffin Mephisto. Now, that does not mean that the Griffin Mephisto is not a great amplifier. It's an amazing amplifier, but I simply feel that the Boulder 3060 does things that no other amplifier has ever done for me in my lab in 2022. Now, this amplifier is heavy, 355 pounds. It comes with a granite stand. It is absolutely insane. You can feel the quality, you can feel the real estate, you can see the real estate, and everything that Boulder is bringing to the table. And as far as those of you who currently own this amplifier, the 3060, I gotta tell you guys, if you are thinking about going in a different direction, if you are thinking about buying a better stereo amplifier, you're going to be quite disappointed to find out that it's very hard to get better than this. At the end, this is really the end of the road when it comes to stereo amplification, of course, with the exception being the Griffin Apex, which I haven't owned yet and I haven't heard yet. So maybe that amplifier might have something to say. But so far throughout my journey, the 3060 is that irreplaceable amplifier. I don't believe there is an immediate substitute for that level of amplification. So look out. If you own a 3060 and you think you're going to go in a better direction, I would urge you, pump the brakes. And whatever amplifier you're contemplating, I suggest you bring it into your home and do an A and B comparison before you do that, because the 3060 is not an amplifier that you're going to be able to replace like that. We know the used market hardly ever has any 3060s, so you're going to be forced to buy a new one from your dealer. Careful, okay? I've said it to you and I'm warning you all. Okay, the best mono amplifier is no surprise. It's sitting right behind me. The Boulder 3050s. Cost no object amplifiers coming in at around $284,000 for the pair, 1,500 watts continuous. Pure Class A design. It is absolutely an astonishing product. It has every single thing you can think of: power, drive, bass control, soundstage, definition, nuance. It has everything you can probably want out of an amplifier. There is no speaker that these amplifiers cannot drive. Of course, unfortunately, the price point is absolutely insane, and very few people can even remotely think about affording one of these amplifiers. I have owned, as you know, the Griffin Mephisto Solos, and although those were phenomenal amplifiers, I do believe that for over twice the money, the 3050 is a superior offering, a superior presentation. It's got just more speed, more drive, bigger soundstage, and it's just a clean sheet of paper. And what I mean by that, there's absolutely no coloration coming from the 3050. You are the cook in the kitchen. You can make this amplifier sound sweet. You can make it sound bright if you want to, neutral, cold, however you like it served. The 3050 can give it to you. You just got to know what you're doing behind the 3050 as far as preamplification, sources, cabling. You can make this amplifier sound however you like, as long as you know what you're doing, okay? So make sure that if you decide to embark and buy a 3050, you are talking to people who have experience owning these monsters, because there are not many of us out there that have hands-on experience with a 3050 amplifier. Stop reading all these forum crusaders, all these people who just love to give an opinion based on what they heard, based on what they saw, or based on what they read. Talk to people who own this level of equipment. You should not go out there getting an opinion from those who don't have this level of exposure, or a qualified opinion for that matter, with regards to this level of amplification. Honorable mentions within the amplifier category. An honorable mention is, without a doubt, and it's no surprise to me anyway, because I have been a lover, a very big lover of this particular brand, and that is Luxman. And to be specific, I am talking about the Luxman M10X. You guys saw it on a shootout. You guys heard it. It is, in my opinion, one of the best amplifiers that I have ever heard under $20,000 or $25,000. The Luxman M10X to me was a better offering than the Griffin Essence, a better performer than the 860 version 2 from Sim Audio, and perhaps many other amplifiers that I didn't get a chance to compare against it. The Luxman M10X is a giant killer. If you have this amplifier and your budget is anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 MSRP, folks, I hate to break your heart. If you're looking to upgrade from a Luxman M10X, you are looking at Griffin, Boulder, and those types of amplification, which are going to run you 2, 3, 4, 5 times the money. So you better be careful, okay? Do not think that you're going to be able to swap out of a Luxman M10X, which is 20 grand today, and jump into something that's going to be 22,000 MSRP and be better. It probably will not. I got news for you. You are going to have to spend at least twice the money to make a significant improvement over your current M10X. Another amplifier that I must bring up and mention that I think went overlooked during my last shootout, and that is the Sim Audio 860 version 2. This is the second time I own this amplifier. This amplifier to me has been one of the most special amplifiers I've owned. I had it above the Luxman 900U because I think this version 2 definitely brought a lot more clarity. It had a sense of musicality. It was very engaging. It has great bass control. I was very shocked how well it controlled my Magical S7s. And it never got bright regardless of the volume level. That's something that I got to give kudos to Sim Audio for doing. And by the way, Sim Audio, I still got to hear those 888 monos. You guys know that I need to come over there and do that factory tour we talked about, right? I think the audience wants it. I think everyone wants to hear what you guys can do in the six-figure realm, okay? Because we are used to seeing Sim Audio at around the $20,000 to $30,000 price point when it comes to amplification. We have never heard you guys at the $100+ $1,000 price point. And I want to hear what you guys can do when there is cost, no object, associated with the product you're building. The 860 version 2 is an amazing amplifier. I don't think many of you will ever be disappointed because of the fact that I think for the money, it is a little less than the Luxman. I think actually it is the same as the Luxman M10X. It is just a very different presentation, but I do think the M10X tops it. However, you might find a better deal on the used market on a Sim Audio version 2, 860 version 2. And let me tell you something, that amplifier is no slouch. I still like it. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to say it probably has better bass control than the Luxman M10X, if I'm being honest. But I think the M10X tops it when it comes to the depth of the soundstage, the big soundstage that it has. The musicality is a lot greater with the Luxman M10X. There is a sense of more probably realism with the Luxman M10X. The Sim Audio is a little more neutral. And some of you guys may like or may not like that. Depends on your personality. Okay, next category, pre-amplifiers. Guys, there's only two pre-amplifiers to talk about in 2022. And that is the Boulder 3010 and 2110. To me, these are the two best preamplifiers I have ever owned, period. They easily surpass any other preamplifier that I have ever owned. The only other preamplifier that I can honestly say I wish I had here would be the Solution 725. Because that was an exceptional beast, and I believe I gave it best preamplifier of 2021. So definitely needs to be in the mix, in the conversation, okay? 2022 brought me the most expensive preamplifier, that being the 3010. That 3010, to me, it is a machine. It is absolutely astonishing. It makes any DAC plugged into any amplifier sound broken. That's right. If you compare this 3010 as a preamplifier and you compare it to any DAC you have out there, regardless of price point, and we do the comparison as far as both of them driving the amplifier, you are going to hear the difference between a man and a boy. You are going to see the difference between a man and a boy. Okay, it really exposes what a DAC is not capable of doing. This preamplifier, the 3010, has immense clarity, enormous bass control, incredible focus and definition. It is very engaging, believe it or not. And it definitely surpasses the 2110, which I have as my second place or runner-up. In many other ways, it surpasses the 2110 when it comes to, it has greater bass control, more depth. There's more stuff happening behind the speakers. It opens up more windows to the presentation, if that makes sense. That's really the difference between the 3010 and the 2110 preamplifier from Boulder. Now, the 2110 is half the money, so I am not going to say that the 3010 is twice as good as the 2110. That is not the case. It never works out that way, guys, in life, in audio, in cars, any industry, okay? Just because you spend twice the money does not mean you get twice the performance. It doesn't work that way. The 2110, I would say, is easily 85% of what the 3010 does. I would say it's about 80 to 85% of the 3010. But we all know that extra 10, 15% is very costly. We all know and understand that that added improvement cost a lot more money because it takes that much more work for the manufacturers to be able to extract it from the product. And it doesn't matter what we're talking about. We could be talking about amplifiers, we could be talking about preamplifiers, DACs, you name it. Okay, there's a lot of work that needs to be done just to squeeze an extra 5, 10% out of the model above. Either way, guys, any of these two preamplifiers, and by the way, I will say it here, if you own a Boulder amplifier, you must get the matching preamplifier. If you right now are slinging a Boulder amplifier and you're using your own preamplifier, whatever the name it is, whatever brand it is, or you're using your DAC into this amp, you still do not have any clue what your Boulder amplifier is capable of. I'm telling you right now, you must have the matching line stage for any Boulder amplifier. You heard it from me. I've done the work here. I'm tired of doing the legwork, so you guys don't have to do it, okay? If you buy your amp, any Boulder amp, you must locate at some point that matching preamplifier. Trust me on this. Okay, the next category is best speaker of 2022, and that easily goes to my Magical S7. Which are long gone, and they are going to be in a new home in about 2 weeks. These speakers went to one of my followers, one of my members from my website, jayaudiolab.com. We were able to make a deal happen, and I was able to take on trade his Wilson Audio Sasha DAWs, which you guys will see come next month, okay? And I will be replacing his Wilsons with my S7s in here, and I'll be doing all the legwork, all the setup, everything that I know how to do, having owned 5 pairs of Magicals and 6 pairs of Wilsons. I think I know what I'm doing. And so the S7, the reason why the S7 to me was the best speaker of 2022 is, number one, it has given me the best bass output, the most impactful bass, articulate bass of any loudspeaker I have ever had in the room, including the Wilson Audio XLF that you guys saw here. Okay, the Magical S7 uses 3 10-inch woofers, and so my amplification was fortunately top-notch. Okay, while I had it here, and it was incredible. It was insane. You guys saw several people in the past here in my room who all raved about the bass and how impactful, how tight, how incredible and devastating the low registers were in this room. And all I did was set up the S7s and put the proper amplification behind me. It is no secret by now that I believe the S7 is the best price performance speaker to come out of Magical in a very long time. I communicated this, in my opinion. I gave this opinion to a lone wolf while I was over there at Magical and doing the factory tour. I told him, I believe, at least from the speakers I have owned, the S7 is indeed the best price performance speaker. Now, is it a perfect speaker? It's not a perfect speaker. No speaker is perfect in my opinion. Okay, it does have things that you need to work around. For instance, it's a speaker that is kind of like a panel, very electrostatic-like. So you need to spread it open and make sure that you have the proper towing, okay, to get the right bite out of the tweeters. If you tow it out too much, you're going to lose some of the cohesiveness in the middle. Again, normal for a speaker, but I thought the Magical S7 was a little more finicky with that. However, once you get that speaker done right, I promise you, you're going to have, as a matter of fact, I'll say this front and center. When you get a Magical speaker set up properly, okay, with the right electronics, right cabling, the right room, it is nearly impossible to get rid of Magical speakers. It is nearly impossible to find something that beats it, okay? One of the biggest pain points that you will encounter as a Magical speaker owner is the fact that they are very picky. The speaker is very picky with the electronics, okay? You can't have anything you want behind the speaker because the speaker is not going to receive everything you put behind it quite well, okay? The flexibility, if you will, is a lot narrower than with other brands. That is one thing you have to remember with Magical speakers. However, when you put the right electronics and cabling behind, you are going to be in for a ride, okay? So if you are contemplating any Magical speaker, in my opinion, it is important that you talk to your dealer, talk to me if you want to. I've owned many of them, to make sure you have your electronics correct, to make sure you're not going in the wrong direction, because if not, it will be costly and you may end up hating the speaker. But it's not the speaker's fault. It's just the fact that the speaker likes what it likes, and you need to figure out what is it that Magical speakers like. Now, runner-up, I have the Focal Maestro Utopia Evo. This speaker was absolutely phenomenal. It had great bass. although not as good as the Magical S7. It had phenomenal bass. It had the same characteristics when it comes to the beryllium tweeter. They're both beryllium tweeters, although they're different designs. They're still beryllium tweeters, so they have a lot of sparkle, just like the Magical S7. There is definitely some coloration with the Utopia line in general. I do believe the Maestro is no different. There is some coloration. You can definitely hear that Focal tries or attempts to have a certain type of house sound, if you will. But I loved it. I mean, it was a very, very awesome speaker, down-firing port, tremendous bass. Now, the Maestro does need a ton of power, a lot of power to really open up its wings. But that is actually the case with just about any speaker from their Utopia line. You got to make sure you have the power. But I do believe that the Maestro is probably the hardest speaker to drive from the Focal Utopia line. Lovely design. I personally like the looks of the speaker. And it's very, the European design is there. I love the looks of the Maestro Utopia or any Utopia speaker. And overall, I just felt very satisfied. I don't have a bone to pick at all with the Focal, other than the fact that yes, you still have to be a little bit OCD as far as finding the right electronics. You have to be very, very careful with the right electronics, okay? Because it can get bright if you don't put the right cabling behind and you're looking for that, you have that excess energy in the top end. That typically can mean a bad cable match, the wrong DAC, or source for that matter. So like anything, okay, you have to be willing to play with the speaker and get the right electronics behind it. But I think once you do, it is going to reward you. Those are the two top speakers of 2022. I don't think it's worth me mentioning any other speaker. Okay, here's another category that I wanted to talk about. This is a category that I haven't done, but I'm going to do it today. That is surprise combination of the year. This is nothing else than two components that I decided to mix and match, and the results were quite fascinating, I must say. Absolutely mind-boggling. My jaw dropped, and this was just kind of like a shot in the dark. I didn't know what was going to come out of it, and this is the Griffin Mephisto Solos with the VAC Master Preamplifier. Folks, that to me still remains as one of the best presentations I have had in 2022. I have had the Pandora from Griffin. I have had the Xena from Griffin. I have had a lot of different preamplifiers with the Griffin amplifiers. And I believe the Master VAC, I don't know about the rest of the VAC preamplifiers. I'm talking about the Master specifically. The Master VAC preamplifiers sounded phenomenal with Griffin Mephisto Solos. And I expect it to be no different with the Essence models, with the Antillion, with the Coliseum, you name it, and potentially even the Apex. There is so much amazing synergy between those two guys. It sounded engaging, massive soundstage. It was just so phenomenal. It really, really reeled you in. There was a lot of this musical human touch, if that makes sense, that I don't think the Mephisto quite accomplishes with its sibling preamplifiers, if that makes sense. I loved it. That to me was a revelation. I didn't expect it to be so good, okay? All right, so here we are. The time has come. The moment. Drum roll, please. The worst of 2022. In 2021, I gave Critical Mass 1.5 footers the worst component of the year. 2022, this award goes to a power cord. And that power cord is the AudioQuest Hurricane power cord. Here's something that I think you guys are going to find quite interesting, okay? This power cord, the 2-meter version, started at $2,000 when it first came out years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, who knows? And now, today I checked prices, and now it MSRP's for $3,250. When I first heard this power cord at when it was $2,000, I really found it incredible. I really felt this power cord was really amazing when I looked at the competition that surrounded it based on its MSRP. But since then, AudioQuest has raised the price by over 50%. And now it enters the $3,000 price bracket when it comes to power cords, right? Now, because it is in a brand new price bracket, I am going to give it the worst power cord of 2022. Because it now competes against power cords that are in the $3,000 price point. And I, for instance, found the transparent XL power cord, to me, which is around $3,000 for the 2-meter version, is far superior in all counts. It is just far better performance at the $3,000 price point, okay? This is what I'm saying, and I'm going to use this opportunity to let everybody know, including manufacturers right now, as you keep jacking up the prices, your prices, from products that you have had for over the last probably 3 to 5 years. Now, I understand prices go up. I understand labor is going up. I understand gas is going up. I understand you guys have to jack up prices. I get that. But be careful when you do that, because you might fall a victim of what just happened with this power cord. Starting at $2,000, there was nothing, in my opinion, that was better than this power cord at $2,000. Nothing. But at $3,200, there is plenty of power cords that can smoke this power cord. And now, this is why I gave it the worst. The worst value, the worst performance for $3,000, in my opinion. Don't fall prey of that. Don't fall prey of jacking up the prices of your speakers and entering a whole new price point. And now you're competing against speakers that are well seated above you, and you're trying to knock on their door, and you're going to get smoked, and you're going to get beat. Don't fall prey. Don't just jack up your prices and not pay attention to where you're entering, the arena where you're entering. It's very, very critical that you as a manufacturer understand that, okay? If you have a speaker that is $15,000 and then now it enters into a $30,000 price point, I am sorry, you're going to have a hard time battling those that are sitting or who have been sitting at the $30,000 price point. You're probably not going to win. I promise you this. You're probably not going to look good. So be careful as a brand to not do that to yourself, because you could be next, okay? And I am watching prices very closely, and I am paying attention to your price increases. I have notes, and I know exactly where your products start, and I can easily see where you are today. And then I can locate where you are today as far as price point and where you have inserted yourself now, and what is the competition around you, and are you better now than those competitors that have been around this more expensive price point, okay? So be careful with that. All right, hopefully you guys have enjoyed that, and now I'm going to talk about what is next in 2023 here at Jay's Audiolab. I am going to be doing, finally, I hope to have the Griffin Apex with the Commander in here. So you guys are going to see that Q1 of 2023. I am going to be doing a comparison. Yes, for the first time ever, I will dare to finally do what many of you guys have been asking me for, and that is to compare Wilson Audio against Magical. Do you see those Magical A5s behind me? They are staying put in here until I get my Sasha DAWs, which will be here Q1 of next year. These Magicals A5 behind me will go toe-to-toe against Wilson Audio Sasha DAWs. I know you guys are excited to see this, and I am going to give you that. I'm going to let you hear Magical against Wilson Audio with over $400,000 worth of electronics behind them. There's not going to be an excuse. There's not going to be, call somebody to rescue you. There's not going to be none of that. I know exactly where they go as far as placement, and I got all the artillery behind them. There's no excuses. You guys will hear Magical against Wilson Audio in Q1 of 2023. Last but not least, I will also finally get to do a Super Audio CD player comparison against my Kronos turntable, the Kronos turntable that you're seeing right now. So for the first time, we're going to go real deep. We're going to do real deep comparisons of real media in my hand against vinyl. Are you guys excited? Are you guys looking forward to this? If you are, all I can ask of you is to subscribe and hit that like button and continue to support me. Thank you for all the support in 2022. See you next year. Peace.